Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to round number 3 of the ORT Esports Cup, here for another round here in Tier 1. My name is, of course, everyone Mike, going to be taking you through the action as we go racing to the home of British Motorsport. We are, of course, going to be racing around Silverstone here tonight. Absolutely fantastic track to go racing at, around this 5.8, almost 5.9 kilometer circuit in length, and that is 3.6 miles if you want to do the conversion right there. 26 laps await these 19 drivers, and of course 18 corners, 8 to the left and 10 to the right. Of course, the tyre compounds that we will be seeing is, of course, the C3 soft tyre, C2 mediums, and of course the C1 hard compound tyre. And yeah, in terms of the track itself, I mean, it's such a fantastic track to go racing at. So many opportunities to overtake and get positions done and dusted. Of course, coming down the hanger straight in towards Stowe. Maybe having a look down in towards the Vale chicane, always a key overtaking opportunity as well. Into Village as well, if you get a good run down the Hamilton straight into Abbey and Farm, you can get a nice little run into Village. And of course Brooklands left field making moves there, and of course Cops as well if you're feeling a bit bold and brave. And of course you could go side by side through Maggots and Beckett's. So we're going to see what these drivers are going to be doing. Of course, in qualifying now, 18 minutes, just over 17 minutes now to go in the session as we've got the first cars coming out on track. And that is Damien Vac, who is the first man out on track. And of course, he's going to be the man getting us underway. And of course, if you guys weren't around last week and don't know what's going on in the standings, I mean, I'm going to tell you. Of course I am. Is CPI currently leading the way on 95 points, and of course we've got QVR in second place on 69. NLR Development on 67 points, so very close battle for P2 in the championship. And of course we've got DKMN on 34 points, 33 points for IRT. Then of course we've got LRN on 28 points, 26 points for the ORT team, VMV on 23 points, X Esports on 20 points, and of course we've got EPEC rounding out the final spot in the standings, and they are currently on 19 points. So very close battle from 4th all the way down to 10th in the team standings, but of course CPI kind of dominant at the top end as it currently stands. So we'll have to see how they get on in this race and if anyone's going to be able to close up to him. But we're going to go on board here with Damien for a full lap of the Silverstone circuit, coming through the club corner now as we get ourselves underway down the pit straight, also known as the Hamilton straight. Now into turn 1, Abbey want to be cutting that inside curb, but not cutting it too much, so you pick up an invalidation through Farm, breaking down into Village. Turn number 3, third gear, the gear of choice there. Into turn number 4 of the loop. Important to get good traction out this corner as you head through onto the Wellington straight now, as DRS will be activated and wide open, running down in towards Brooklands here. Breaking down, getting the car rotated. Fourth gear, the gear of choice there, as we head now into left field. The right hander, never ending, important to get good traction. I think Damon has actually decided to abandon his lap, so I believe we'll go on board with Skip, who's just coming through Woodcut now, down the old pit straight, also known as the National Pit Straight, as we head into Cops Corner, the old turn 1 way back when, but of course now Cops Corner providing key overtaking opportunities as we head into Maggots and into Beckett's now. So easy to pick up an invalidation, so easy to mess these corners up, and now on the exit of Chapel. DRS wide open once again as we head down the hanger straight, heading down towards Stowe Corner. And of course through Stowe, very easy to drift out wide once again, but Skip does well. Breaking now into the Vale chicane. Third gear, the gear of choice there for Skip, coming through the club section now around the final corner, and it's going to be an initial time of a 25.6 to guess underway here in qualifying. We have Casanova on a lap as I believe we've got guys coming to the line, so we'll see what times are going to be coming in from these guys as Danny Connor puts a 25.1 on the table. Provisional pole for the man in the AlphaTauri, immediately beaten by CPI Light 1 with a 24.9, first man into the 24s in this session. As we're on board with Casanova for NLR as he comes through the final corner now. Of course, his teammate Kuhlmann also out there on the lap, just in behind. It goes up into P3, does Casanova. What about Kuhlmann? Kuhlmann up into P2, actually 25 flat for NLR Kuhlmann. As I believe we just had Domelt coming through into P5 momentarily, but Fox Blue knocks him down to P6 as he goes up into P3. As we got some more guys out there on a lap. K-Gat coming through, Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel right now. DRS wide open for K-Gat. And of course, this will be a very key overtaking opportunity, as I believe that is G. Russell for QVR going up into P2 with a 25 flat as well. Very close here on the opening set of laps here in qualifying. Through the Vale chicane now goes K-Gat as we come through the final couple of corners. To the line will come K-Gat, and he's going to cross the line. It's going to be a 25 flat. So we have 3 drivers in a 25 flat. The man on provisional pole right now, a 24.9, and we're still waiting for 2 lap times to come in from Stern, who just gone up into P15 there with a 25.9. We got Nick Finneman in P19 still on a lap coming through. Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel now. A little bit of traffic, and I think he got a little bit put off there maybe. Obviously the cars did get out of the way, but just that visual distraction is more than enough for a driver to lose a bit of concentration going into a corner as technical as Maggots and Beckett's. But through slow comes Nick, and he's going to abort the lap and come straight back into the pit lane. So everyone, after the first run of laps, we have CPI Light currently leading the way on a 24.9. G. Russell currently in P2 with a 25 flat. Just over 300ths of a second ahead of NLR Kuhlmann in P3. K-Gat not too far behind as well, less than 200ths of a second behind Kuhlmann. K-Gat on a 25.0 as well. Fox Blue on a 25.1 with Danny Connor also on a 25.1. Very close between the top 6 as it currently stands. Only 0.2 of a second really separating the top 6 as Casanova there on a 25.3, Gary on a 25.4, 25.5 for Dom Melt, and then of course Angel running out the top 10 on a 25.6, only just ahead of LRN Cass, who is on a 25.6 as well, as is Skip. So very close between these 3 drivers. Noiseski in 13th on 25.8, just ahead of Wild, also on a 25.8, 25.9 for Stern. And then of course we got Alberto Alex on a 25.9. 26 flat for Wildstorm, of course, going to be out there looking to improve on that lap time. And of course we got the 2 Ferrari drivers, Damien and Nick, who haven't set representative lap times. Obviously Damon backed off at the beginning of his first run, and of course Nick decided to come into the pits as we're on board with Danny Connor now, who is going to be out there on track, just going to see if Danny can improve. Of course, to everyone in the stream, hopefully you're all having a fantastic time. And of course, make sure you check out what's going on in Tier 2 as well. But we got Reslify in the chat supporting his team NLR. Of course, Kuhlmann currently up in P3 and Casanova currently P7. So it is looking good after the first round of laps for the NLR team. And yes, we shall be waiting to see if they're going to be getting themselves a little bit further up the order, or whether we'll see Danny Connor, Fox Bull, K-Gat, G. Russell, and obviously CPI Light push them down the order. But also you got QVR Gary not too far off as well. But we're on board with Danny Connor coming through the final corner to get us underway for the second run of laps here in qualifying. Danny Connor through Abbey Farm and now coming into Village and getting the car turned in absolutely lovely as we go through the loop. Now through Entree, foot to the floor, making sure you get the best run out of the loop, because it really does help you on the run down in towards Brooklands. And Danny Connor once again keeping it very tight. Unfortunately, I did look to my left just slightly and I did miss the first sector split, which is obviously not very good, but we're going to assume that Danny is there or thereabouts with the previous first sector split that Danny Connor put in at the beginning of qualifying. As we approach now, Maggots and Beckett's. Very easy to invalidate here, but Danny's going to be able to navigate through Maggots. But will Danny get through Beckett's and Chapel without an invalidation? Yes, Danny does. Middle sector split, 7/100ths of a second up on his time, as Danny coming down into Stowe. Very easy to lose time here, as Danny looks to appear to be getting through that, absolutely no issues, into the Vale chicane now, and of course around Club Corner to the line will come Danny Connor. Is this going to be provisional pole? No, but it's onto the front row. Danny Connor with a 25 flat, as G Russell just gets underway in behind. Of course, G Russell the previous man in P2, but we'll come back on board with him a little bit later, as we got Fox Blue just starting a lap, so we'll jump on board one of the IRT drivers, and it's going to be Wildstorm crossing the line first. Wildstorm up to P15. Alberto Alex, I believe that was, who just crossed the line up into P12. Then we got Skip up into P7, skipping his way up the order. And that is a terrible bun. I do apologise for that, but he did skip his way up the order, as we got Cass coming into the pits. We got the Alpine of Gary into the pits. And Aston Martin of, I believe, that is Coolman coming through the final couple of corners now. What is the NLR driver going to do? And he's on to provisional pole with a 24.8. NLR Coolman putting himself on provisional pole for the time being. What can Casanova do? Casanova currently in P8. Crosses the line. Oh, it's not an improvement for Casanova. But now we have to wait and see what the two CPI men are able to do. Light obviously on an invalid run, so he's not improving. I mean, you got G Russell here for QVR coming through Stowe corner right now. Can G Russell get himself up onto provisional pole? He needs to find about 2 attempts to do it. Has he found that time? Coming through the final corner now, and G Russell, and he goes up on the provisional pole with a 24.7. G Russell now on provisional pole, as I believe that was Kagak going up into P3 ahead of his teammate. So there we go, second run of laps in. G Russell is the man out on top right now. And with G Russell being the man out on top, we're going to have to wait and see who is going to be finding time to improve. And I believe Stern might be out there on a proper lap. We'll see what the first sector split is as he comes through now, and he's a 10.5 down, so not looking good. Nick comes into the pit, obviously just done with his lap. Damon out there on an out lap, and so is Noisest and Cass there for LRN. Yellow flags are out, so I'm unable to see how many minutes we have left in the session, but we shall find out. Of course, if you guys do not know which teams are in which cars, I will run through that for you right now. Of course, we do have the CPI Esports team in the Mercedes AMG Petronas F1 cars, and of course in the Red Bull Racing cars we have DKMN Esports. In the Scuderia Ferraris we have ORT Esports. In the McLaren F1 cars we have Invictus Racing Team, IRT, in the McLarens. In the Alpines we have QVR, and they are doing very well with Russell up there on provisional pole. Gary a little bit down the order, but knowing Gary, he's going to be setting better times towards the end of the session. But yeah, they're in the Alpines, and the Aston Martins we have NLR Development. In the AlphaTauris we have EPEC, obviously Esports PEC in the AlphaTauris. In the Alfa Romeos we do have the X Esports teams, and then obviously is that a little bit of a block there. I'm not too sure as we headed into Village, and yeah, Casa's completely blacked out, and yeah, not looking good by you for Casa. We'll go on board with Damon in the first sector, nearly 2 tenths up. But yeah, LRN in the Haas F1 team, and obviously we have the Williams F1 team being driven by VMV. Of course, only 19 drivers here tonight, and I believe we are missing the second McLaren. So Invictus Racing Team, actually no, we're not missing the second McLaren. Sorry, I am absolutely blind. Who are we missing the second driver of? I believe it's the second Red Bull. So yeah, DKMN Esports, unfortunately not fielding both drivers here tonight, so they're going to be in a bit of a pickle when it comes to the points at the end, because 2 drivers in this race is better than 1. Coming through Stowe now with Damien as he navigates Stowe, keeps it all valid. This is looking a much improved lap, and in fact he bails out and comes straight back into the pitch. Just under 3 minutes to go in the session now, so if you are on a flying lap now, you really want to be hoping it's a good one, so you can make that decision to get yourself back in. It is getting pretty overcast out there, so we will have to see if any weather comes through and plays a factor at the end of qualifying. Of course, it's not really mimicking the real life weather that we have in Britain as it currently stands. It is absolutely boiling at the moment, and yeah, I am very much struggling here with the weather conditions. I'm not used to it, guys. I prefer the wind, overcast and rain, but of course I do live in Wales, so therefore that's almost guaranteed. Coolman is completely out of the session and retiring in the pit lane. You've got the drivers now beginning to get themselves geared up for their final runs and trying to get themselves going once again. Gary really trying to get his ERS back as well, as he's trying to get himself going, but obviously you've got Light now coming through the final corner, a 10.5 up in the middle sector, across the line, up into P2 goes the CPI man, so gets himself ahead of LRN Coolman, and of course we've got Danny Connor now also over a 10th up. It's enough to put in a challenge with G. Russell for provisional pole position. Of course, G. Russell is out there on the lap, and that's just too wide for Danny Connor. An invalidation there as Fox Blue is getting himself underway. 10th up in the first sector for Fox Blue. As we come through Margaret Beckett and through Chapel now, middle sector, and I think Fox Blue has blacked off. But now we have Wild marginally up on his time. The Alfa Romeos are Linus Stern in 6th and 7th. Of course, the ORT Esports team trying to get themselves up the order to give themselves the best opportunity in this race. And we'll see if it's going to pay off. Wild into the pits, Casanova now to the line. And oh, it's an invalidation there for Casanova. And with just over 30 seconds to go in the session, really you want to be crossing the line right now if you want to get yourself underway for another lap. I believe we've got an Alfa Romeo and a Ferrari getting themselves on a lap, and I believe we have Albert Alex, and he bails out into the pit lane. And now yeah, G. Russell into the pits as well. Gary to the line. Gary, oh, he just can't keep control of that car. Snap at the rear end, and Gary is almost around us. We got Kgat. I'm not sure what happened there with Kgat. Kgat was 2 tenths up, and yeah, we have to see it. And oh, it is raining, so there we go. The weather has played a factor at the end of qualifying here. The rain has come. You might still be able to improve on your lap if you are on a flying lap right now. Obviously, Danny is in the pits, so all eyes on Fox Blue for ORT Esports coming through the middle sector. And 2 tenths down, and I don't think the track is going to allow for any improvements here. And Angel hugging the wall. Casanova all the way down to P11 in the end for Casanova, so that qualifying didn't go well for him. Nick managed to get himself up into P14, unfortunately for his teammate, down in last place. And that is going to bring an end to qualifying, as I assume the rain is getting a bit too much for everyone out there, and there's no way of getting any more time out there on track. So it is G. Russell for QVR taking pole position, and of course we got CPI Light taking second place and joining G. Russell on the front row. NRL Coolman and KGAT there sharing the second row, as we got Danny Connor and Fox Blue sharing the third row. Wild and Dom sharing the fourth row, and then of course we got Angel and Skip sharing the fifth row. Casanova Gary sharing the sixth row. Noizak and Frenneman in sharing the seventh row, but we'll run for the order tidy right now. So it is G. Russell who takes pole position by just over 300ths of a second ahead of CPI Light, but G. Russell there with a 24.7. Light joins him on the front row with a 24.8. Then of course we got Coolman just under a tenth off of pole position there for NLR's rival Coolman. He's on a 24.8 as well, currently going to be starting from P3. KGAD in P4 with Danny Connor in P5. Fox Blue in P6 with Wild in P7. Dormelt in P8. Then of course we got Angel in P9 and IRT Skip rounding out the top 10. Outside the top 10 we do have NLR Casanova, QVR Gary, VMV Noizek, Nick Frenneman. So we got LRN Cassie, Alberta Alex in 16th, Stin in 17th, Wildstorm in 18th, and of course Damon Vac P in 19th at the back, unable to find an improved lap time on the horrible lap which was his opening run, which yeah, he definitely made a mistake on that lap, but was unable to get together to really push on. To everyone in the chat, hopefully you are all doing well. Hopefully you are bouncing back and forth between tier 1 and tier 2. Of course tier 2 also being streamed right now. Make sure you guys go over and show some love over there. Of course tier 2 is currently being streamed by Matt over there. So yeah, make sure you guys go over, show Matt some love. Obviously debut commentary for him in the ORT Esports Cup, so make sure you guys go over and show a little bit of love for Matt right there. Going to be taking you through the action in tier 2, but right now we are here in tier 1 ready to get ourselves underway for 26 laps of the Silverstone Grand Prix, and we're going to see who's going to come out on top. I mean, in terms of qualifying, obviously G. Russell put it on pole position, but as a team effort, CPI had the best performance, and they are currently leading the championship right now. So CPI are going to be a difficult team to stop. That is 100% for sure. But I also want to know what you guys think in the chat. Let me know your predictions right now. Who is going to be taking victory? Who's going to be joining them on the podium as we go to those 5 red lights. Lights are out and we are underway here at Silverstone as I quickly get the tyre compound selection up, and it looks like a very good start from G. Russell on the soft compound tyres. He's under a bit of pressure though from Light on those hard tyres. He's going to try it down the inside into Village. This is bold and brave stuff, and yeah, I mean G. Russell on those soft tyres should really have the grip to stay ahead there. Kigak gets through on Coolman, and so there's a McLaren around Skip as Fox Blue gets through on Danny Connor. Oh my god, I think I have just seen absolute carnage at the back. Who was that? I mean, I'm not entirely sure whose car was that, along with the Ferrari, and Noizak is falling down the order as well. So a little bit scrappy off the start here in Sector 1 as we got Fox Blue now up into P4 on those soft compound tyres, really using them as you must on the softest compounds. You really have to get going, but he does have Coolman in behind, and Coolman under pressure from Dormelt, and Dormelt is right here ready to take over P5 from the NLR driver as he tries to come through using his VRS. He got the inside for Stowe. He's going to be able to hold it. Will we see a switchback here from Coolman? Oh, not quite there. Coleman electing to stay in behind. And in behind he shall stay. As you got Wild trying to put a bit of pressure on Danny Connor and Casanova. Right behind Wild, also trying to put a bit of pressure on the Coolman under pressure. But look at this, Danny Connor and Wild side by side through turn number 1. Danny Connor has to drive off track to avoid losing control of the car there. But of course, in doing that, he's going to have to yield the position to Wild. As look at that, Cass getting the move done on Angel in behind as well. Very opportunistic move there from the LRN. It's terrible, guys. It is terrible. When you got NLR and LRN, the acronyms are very similar for me. But look at that. Casanova goes a little bit off track and he loses out massively. As Stern gets through on him and he drops all the way down to P13. As you got Alberto there, Alex down the inside into Cop's corner. But I think Casanova has done enough to hold on to that position. So Casanova holds on to P12, but not been the greatest a start for him. Fox Blue trying to put some pressure on KGAT for P3 in this race, and he's going to get the job done. Simple as you like. And CPI Light and G Russell have absolutely gone into the distance here. They've gone. KGAT, though, he's not going to look for a move on Fox Blue, understanding that he's on a different strategy altogether compared to the Alfa Romeo. As Light picks up a new fastest lap of the race, and with DRS now being activated in this race, is going to be even better for him. Of course, we are looking at similar overcast conditions as what we saw in qualifying before it rained. So will we be seeing wet weather come into action once again? We'll have to find out in a few laps time. G Russell though still leads the way, but DRS will keep Light on the back of him and will keep Light putting pressure on G Russell. Fox Blue also going to be under pressure from KGAT, and of course Don Melt in behind, and Coleman also there for the LNRL. I hate it when they're next to each other on track as well because I get confused with it. NLR Coolman. There we go. Danny Connor on the back of Wild as well for P7. Of course, a big old train from P7 all the way down to P16. As we got KGAT getting through on Fox. Simple as you like. Job done into Stowe. No worries whatsoever. As Wild actually managed to maintain the position on Danny Connor in P7, so no overtakes happening in the midfield thus far. I'm keeping an eye on the cockpit for the first droplets of rain, if we are going to get them in this race. And of course, if the rain does come early, then that is absolutely perfect for the soft and the medium runners. Of course, the hard runners obviously predicting that they're just going to get their tyres guaranteed to wet conditions, if there is going to be any wet conditions. Battle for the final spot on the podium. You got KGAT ahead of Fox Blue, Domelt in P5, and of course Coleman in P6. These guys in a four-way scrap for the final spot on the podium. 2 seconds up the road though is CPI Light, who's putting the pressure on G Russell now, and with DRS running down into Stowe this time around, you gotta think that the Mercedes will get this move done on track here, as DRS will close up Light, and of course that flashing red light means that G Russell has less than 10% ERS to his name. And actually, he doesn't really go for the move, but will he have a look down the inside into the Vale chicane? No, he's going to be patient about it. Meanwhile, we saw Danny Connor getting through on Wild in the back, and a bit of a gap forming between Cass and Angel, who's just been overtaken by Stern down the inside into the Vale chicane. Absolutely fantastic move from Stern, and oh my god, Angel losing the car. A snap at the rear, and Angel is out of this race, and that has triggered a full course safety car here on lap number 5. My god, it has absolutely had to happen, and the question is now, What do these guys do? Because does everyone come back in, put a fresh set of tyres on? I mean, if you're the soft one, you should definitely come into the pitch and you put on a set of tyres. Now, if it's mediums, I think we're going to see rain towards the mid part of this race. If it is hards, I think we should be fine and have a completely dry race. So this will be very telling, as G. Russell obviously will be able to pit, and obviously you got Light and Kgat in P2 and P3 respectfully, going to be able to potentially pit as well, but the question is, how much will Kgat lose if they decide to double stack? That's going to be a key thing, and it looks like G. Russell potentially going to try and back everyone up to try and cause that effect. And obviously Kgat is backing off Light to not get hindered by the double stack to such an effect, but there's still going to be a little bit of an effect, that is for certain. Needs to be careful as well when backing up. Oh, Light into the back of G. Russell. Would that have picked up any wing damage? I don't know, but it has picked up a 5-second stop go. If he serves this in the pit lane right now, Kgat's been absolutely hung out to dry. Oh, fortunately for Light, he does not serve it, but of course what we are seeing is soft tyres on the Mercedes, so very interesting indeed. Hards going on G. Russell, Fox Blue and Domelt. Car mediums on for Kgat, Coolman, Danny Connor, hards for Wild, Sauce for Stern, Cass on hards, mediums for Gary, hards for Alberta, and obviously Casanova in 12th and 13th. Mediums for Wildstorm and Damon in 14th and 15th. And of course we got the hard tyres for Skip and Noises in 16th and 17th. And then of course Nick at the back on the set of mediums potentially will be coming into the pits now to try and change those tyres. In fact, he doesn't. He elects to stay out. But now we have Light on a set of soft tyres, but also, and this is the key thing, with a 5-second stop go. Of course, Kgat's still very close on track, and potentially we could be seeing an issue where if another safety car comes out, or if it does go to intermediate conditions, that is going to cause another double stack, and Kgat's going to be hung out to dry once again. Of course, we don't know if there is going to be any weather conditions. Hopefully, if any engineers are in chat, they can let me know the weather conditions. It is looking very murky out there right now. Obviously, very overcast. Doesn't look too pleasant out there. So we'll have to wait and see. But if there are any engineers in the chat, please let me know. Is there going to be any rain in this race? We are on lap 6 of 26. We are under safety car conditions. There's G. Russell leading the way. And then we got CPI Light on fresh sauce in behind on with a 5-second time penalty in P2. Not much to talk about as we are under the safety car conditions. So what we will talk about is of course the championship standings once again, and let me just bring up the standings thus far. So CPI come into tonight's race leading on 95 points, QVR in second place on 69 points, NLR Development on 67 points, only 2 points separating those two teams. And of course we've got DKMN Esports on 34 points, 1 point ahead of Invictus Racing Team. They are in 5th place on 33 points, so 1 point separating those two teams. LRN on 28 points in 6th place in the standings. 7th place is of course ORT on 26 points. VMV on 23 points in 8th place. 9th place goes to X Esports on 20 points. And then of course we got EPEC currently in 10th place on 19 points. So as mentioned at the start of the stream, very close and very tight between DKMN in 4th place and EPEC all the way down in 10th. So very close between those teams. And of course we've got a very tight battle between QVR and NLR for P2. Obviously CPI first 2 races done a very good job, obviously collecting, I believe it was 52 points in the first race, and of course going up to 95 in the second race. Point system is another thing that we would like to bring up. Of course, 30 points for the race win, 25 points for second place, 20 points for P3, 18 for P4, 16 for P5, 14 for P6, 13, 12 all the way down to 19th where you get 1 point. So from P6 down is 1 point lower than the car ahead of you. And of course a point for pole position and the fastest lap. So G Russell already picking up a point for QVR here, backing up the pack, getting ready to go racing once again, and we'll see if Light is going to be very on the money in terms of the reaction to go see when the QVR driver gets himself underway. And G Russell has gone. He really backed up the pack quite considerably there, and I can't lie, he did pull off a very good restart, but he picked up a 3-second time penalty immediately, and he's under immediate pressure from Light, who's going to absolutely mug him off on those soft tyres. And that is the difference between softs and the hards. So much more grip, so much more pace, and of course Light getting through there without much issue. But we could see G Russell come back at him as he tries to go around the outside into Brooklands, and we're going to see if the Alpine can do it. And he just gets squeezed out at the end. Meanwhile we got Coleman and Dom side by side through Luffield, and it looks like Coleman on those medium tyres trying to make up some positions. Of course he did qualify up the order, and he has dropped a few positions since then. G Russell gets back through on the run down into Cobb's Corner, and we're going to see if Light is going to come immediately back at him into Maggots, Beckett and Chapel. Of course he is closing up massively on those soft tyres, showing the grip advantage between the hards and the softs. There's Danny Connor on the back of Dom as well. Danny Connor going to try and get through. Up ahead we are seeing Light be a bit patient, staying in behind G Russell. In fact now he's actually going to try and hang it around the outside into the Vale chicane. A little bit of a squeeze there. Is Fox Blue going to potentially overtake the pair of them? And actually he's going to get overtaken by K-Gat. K-Gat now side by side with Fox Blue as they head in towards turn number 1. K-Gat now up into P3 and looking at the back of G Russell, who gets he did get blocked there by Light, obviously moving over to the inside to cover him there, obviously trying to help his teammate out, get through and up the order. And G Russell trying to hang it there with K-Gat, and it's going to be a drag race down in towards Brooklands. A little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact between the pair of them, and looks like K-Gat's going to try for a switchback. Does get the switchback done, but will he get this done? And G Russell there, I'm not sure if that was just opening up the steering wheel or a bit of a snap from G Russell, but they're going to be side by side into Cobb's Corner. Around the outside goes K-Gat, and he's going to go off track, but he comes back on, and he does have P2. Because it was done off track, I think he does have to give that position back to G Russell, but needs to be smart about doing it if he is going to do it. And Coleman is going to take advantage of this, going to cruise on past, because G Russell has used all of his ERS, and he is now sitting duck to the medium runners in behind. Danny Connor now up into P5, looking to try and get a move done on G Russell going into the Vale chicane. G Russell now under huge amounts of pressure as DRS has now been enabled this lap. CPI Light has pulled 1.6 seconds ahead of K-Gat in second place. Coolman is on the back of K-Gat, so There is still a risk there for CPI. Obviously, Coolman being the major threat right now. G. Russell on those hards doesn't have the ERS to compete with Danny Connor, and Danny Connor, when he wants to go for it, is going to be able to get a move done. G. Russell, less than 10% ERS, is really going to struggle once these guys up ahead start using theirs. Still very overcast out there on track. Not entirely sure whether we're going to see any weather conditions play a factor in this race, but what we are seeing is a CPI 1-2 as it currently stands. Light ahead of KGAT. Of course, Light does have a 5-second stop-go time penalty to serve. KGAT does not, but KGAT would be put in a little bit later, you'd think. Obviously, the softs versus the mediums, but also if a safety car comes out, KGAT is going to lose out massively because of it. Danny Connor really trying to get a job done on G. Russell for P4, but G. Russell doing a very good job thus far in just holding on to that P4 and staying in this train. And of course, what G. Russell really needs now is to save a bit of battery up as Casanova gets through on Alberta. Alex in P12, who is now going to be under pressure from Damien in P13. We're going to focus on this battle, the battle for P4, because it looks like if a move is going to happen, it's going to happen between these two. G. Russell obviously getting caught in a bit of a straight line. In fact, we're going to go on board with Wild, who is actually very close to the back of Domelt going into Entree. So we're going to see if Wild can get a good run out of the field here as we come on to the old national pit straight, the old F1 pit straight as well, as we come through Woodcut down the national pit straight in towards Cops Corner. And yeah, I think Wild now a bit too far back. Coolman losing a bit of time to KGAT, because KGAT has been catching Light here. I'm not sure if this is a bit of CPI teamwork. It possibly could be, as Damon has picked himself up a 3-second time penalty. Of course, not the first 3-second time penalty we've seen, but every 3-second time penalty is a bad thing to see for these guys, especially when it's this close out on track. We have 11 cars in a DRS train from first all the way down to P11. As Damon is around at club, so Damon losing the car, he's around at club, getting himself going and back again, and with Nick Fenneman in 17th as well. It is not going good for the Scuderias, for the ORT racing team. Of course, they are at the back, and we've got the CPI guys at the front, and of course a trade there happening between Light and KGAT. And now this is beneficial for Light, because he can now try and pull away. KGAT, because he can now try and pull away. Light does need to save up a bit of battery, so I'm guessing it's a little bit better for Light to be behind KGAT for the time being, because KGAT can be able to tow Light along as these soft tyres begin to not necessarily fall away at this moment in time, but obviously we're getting to that point now where they are similar pace to the mediums, if not a little bit slower. Coolman had a little peek as G. Russell there really pushing Coolman through the Vale chicane and through club. Danny has dropped a little bit off the back, but closing up back through Vale and club there. So Danny doing well to stick with these guys thus far. G. Russell right now, obviously in the ability of going to the end, is in the best place out of those in the top 5, but with that 3-second time penalty, Fox Blue, Dom, Wild all have an opportunity to jump him on penalties at the end of this race, as G. Russell really hurrying and hounding the NLR driver for that final podium position on track. And He's not risking any moves thus far. Meanwhile, his teammate QVR Gary down in P10 in a bit of a train right now, and there's not much going on in this train. No one really being able to get an overtake done due to the nature of being in a DRS train, as Coleman there in a little bit out of shape through Magus and Beckett, and of course that has meant that G. Russell's also got a little bit out of shape through Magus and Beckett, and Danny Connor now could potentially be able to attack here if he used a bit of battery, but Danny not going to use that battery, still going to sit in behind. Of course, in the Alpha Tauris, it is obviously EPEC in the Alpha Tauris, where this could be a fantastic result for Danny Connor here and for EPEC to get themselves off of the tail end of the championship standings and up the order. There's all contact there between Coleman and Russell. We just saw Coleman go around, and I can only assume a little bit of a bump there in the braking zone from G. Russell on Coleman. Coleman around, falls all the way back to P11, so he goes from basically the front of this train all the way to the back of it, and yeah, Coleman's not going to be happy about that. G. Russell obviously not going to be happy about it either, because he might have picked up wing damage. We'll have a look visually to see if there's any wing damage on the Alpine. He is losing a bit of time to the guys up ahead. It doesn't appear to be wing damage on the Alpine, but with no ERS to his name, and with Light and KGAT obviously having DRS with each other, able to tow each other away from Russell, Danny is in a good position now to get up into P3 and also get onto that train with Light as well, because using a bit of battery will definitely help Danny out here, getting within a second of Light. So we're going to see if that transpires as we head through Abbey Farm and Village for the 15th time in this race, lap 15 of 26. KGAT leads the way, CPI Light in P2. It's a CPI 1-2 right now. G. Russell does have the final podium position as it currently stands, but both CPI Light and G. Russell with time penalties applying to them right now. QVR Gary gets through up into P8. He goes ahead of LRN Cass, and that'll be a big move for Gary, but so much time lost to these guys up ahead. As look at Wild all over the back of Dom, and Dom able to cover off Wild there for P6, but on the run down into Stowe, this is going to be so crucial for these guys. ORT Esports having a good showing, currently in P5 and P7, so good showing from the ORT Esports team. And we're going to see if any moves are made. Light does get back through on KGAT, and Danny again not using the ERS to try and go for an overtake on G. Russell. That flashing red light is a massive indicator, but we are going to see Light into the pits, and he will serve that 5-second time penalty, so he will drop down the order. The question is, where does he come out? As Dom actually managed to get through on Fox Blue. Sorry we missed that overtake right there, but Fox now down into P5, going to be under a bit of pressure from his teammate in behind. Gary now obviously moving up into P7 after overtaking Cass. Then he got the NLR pairing of Casanova and Coolman. Coolman will feel very aggrieved to be down here behind his teammate, especially with the of where he was just a few laps ago. Meanwhile, CPI Light did come out in a lot of fresh air, currently in P15, 19 seconds, the gap between him and the car ahead, so a lot of clear air to push into, but of course, will he have the laps to make his way back up the order, and will anyone else be needing to make a pit stop? Obviously, I assume we'll have the medium runners coming in. I assume. But the hard runners, I think will be fine to go to the end. It's a case of will the likes of Light, Kgat, Danny, and obviously Gary, will they have the pace on fresh tyres to close up that pit stop advantage at the end of this race? The longer they leave it, the less opportunity they have to do it. So we'll have to wait and see. But lap 17 of 26, Kgat leads the way. G. Russell coming in P2, Danny Connor in P3, still not using the ERS. Definitely comfortable in DRS range, but obviously those tyres are going to fall away eventually from the hards, and G. Russell will come into his own. But Danny Connor really needs to get through and also get onto the back of Kgat. As Casanova trying to look for a move on LRN Cass as we head down in towards Cops, but Lex to stay behind the Haas F1 car. And of course, Cass on the back of QVR Gary. We could be seeing potential DRS overtake, especially with Gary not having the ERS to combat this. As we run down in towards Stowe, not close enough there for Cass, not close enough Casanova, not close enough Kuhlman. As Wildstorm actually gets through on Skip, so an overtake there as we have Kgat and Danny into the pit lane on lap 18. Will we be seeing soft tyres go on to both of their cars? No, fresh mediums there for Kgat. Will it be fresh mediums for Danny as well? Fresh mediums for Danny. So where did they come out relative to Light? Light obviously had to serve that 5 second stop go, so he should come up behind, but how far behind does he come out? As he comes through the final corner now, using his ERS, setting the new fastest lap of the race, he's going to come out, he's not going to come out too far behind Danny here. So Light has come out within half a second of Danny, and Danny 2 seconds off the back of Kgat, 98% on the battery. Light has less than 10%, so Danny really needs to use it and get back onto the back of Kgat, because Light has just got through now, and Light is going to be a thorn in Danny's side, as Danny's now on 100% ERS. This is an absolute waste now, having that amount of ERS, and now Danny is using a little dab of it. Needs to use a bit more in my opinion, but maybe looking for a late charge using all the battery at the end of this race, but we have to wait and see. Meanwhile, we got Casanova on the back of Kuhlman. Kuhlman has made that move on Casanova. Up in the P7 goes Kuhlman. Lap 18 as we cross the line to begin lap 19. Is G. Russell that leads the way ahead of Dom in second place, Fox Blue in third, and Wild in fourth. Gary 3 seconds back in P5 under pressure from Cass in P6. Kuhlman and Casanova, the NLR pairing in 7th and 8th. Skip up into 9th now, as we've just seen the switch go on there, as Alberto obviously getting through on noise there into actually no, sorry, it was Wildstorm coming into the pit. So we got the Williams pairing of the VMV drivers, Line the Stern in 10th and 11th. Kgat and CPI Light in 12th and 13th. Obviously they've made their final pit stops, they go into the end and they are pushing. Danny Connor on the back of Light, so much ERS compared to the CPI man ahead, but Danny Connor not using the battery available to him, and that is definitely going to be it's going to annoy me until Danny actually starts using it efficiently, because obviously when you have like 100%, it's a waste. It is an absolute waste when you have 100%. But look at this now. Kuhlman and Casanova once again trading positions. I think Kuhlman possibly coming into the pit, so ceding that position to his teammate. And we'll wait and see. No, Kuhlman is going to stay out. Potentially going to try and take them to the end as we begin lap number 20 of 26. G. Russell still leads the way but that 3-second time penalty is coming back to haunt him right now. As it currently stands, we are looking at a ORT Esports double podium. As it currently stands, obviously with G Russell's 3-second time penalty, Fox Blue and Wild will jump in on the penalty, so both of them will get the podium, and of course Dom would get the race win. Danny Connor setting a new fastest lap of the race, so indicating maybe beginning to use that ERS, and yet down to 81%. Danny Connor has so much ERS compared to the guys around him. He can definitely use a bit and get into the DRS range of K-Gat. He doesn't want to end up back behind Light. That is not what he wants. As Danny Connor not using, and Light did use a bit, but obviously not enough to close up into Brooklands and Luffield here. But we'll have to wait and see. Danny does have 2 lap pressure tyres as well, so that could also come back and help Danny late in this race as well. And Danny is going to use a bit more ERS here to try and get closer to K-Gat as we head into Cops Corner. Danny is around 1.3 off the back of K-Gat, has 40% extra battery to his name. Yeah, 40% better off on the battery is Danny compared to K-Gat, and we are of course seeing things shape up for the end of this race. Let's have a look at the gap between the race leader and of course K-Gat, obviously the leader of those that made the 2-stop, and the gap is 22.6 seconds. So really, it's not looking great. It's not looking great, but K-Gat is closing up to the back of Nose, and Nozeski is going to be under pressure from the CPI man very, very soon. Meanwhile, speaking of under pressure, QVR Gary under pressure from LRN Cass, who is currently in P5 and P6 respectfully. Cass definitely would have picked up a warning there for track limits. Of course, going onto the curb on the exit of Cops, ideally know what you want to do, but as the tyres begin to fade away, it's going to be more likely that we see those 3-second time penalties pop up. Dom, Fox and Wild still line astern. Gary, Cass, Casanova, Coolman still line astern. And then we got Skip, 5 seconds off the back of them as K-Gat gets through on Nozeski up into P11 goes the CPI driver. And of course that little bit of DRS definitely going to help him pull a bit of a gap away from Danny Connor. Danny is on the back of Nozeski right now, and of course will possibly be trying to go for a move immediately into Brooklands and Luffield, as we did see Alex leaving the session, disconnecting from the session, so he'll drop away and drop back to K-Gat and Danny and Light very, very quickly. But look at the extra grip that Danny has compared to Nozeski as he comes through the loop, and he's side by side on the exit now into Entree, and of course that is going to allow Danny to get through and go chasing after K-Gat. Light does follow him through down the inside into Brooklands, and yet CPI Light doing everything he can to stay with Danny here. Alex has rejoined the session but hasn't quite taken control of his car thus far. He would be there we go. Now he has taken full control of his car, but he will have K-Gat right on the back of him very soon. Obviously within DRS range, but obviously DRS not going to be active there for K-Gat. Light trying to use ERS and DRS to close up to Danny, but just not enough there in the tank to really get a move done. Essentially what Danny needs, Danny just needs Alex to defend a bit from K-Gat, and then Danny will be within DRS range. That's all Danny needs, as We go through Abbey, Farm and Village again. Lap 23 as, oh, look at this. Kgat sends it down the inside into Village. Job done for the CPI man once again. Getting that move done quick and fast. And I believe also picking up the DRS. Yes, he does. And now chasing after Skip, who's in P9. I think that'll be the highest that Kgat will get to, barring any late punchers for the medium runners. But as it currently stands, Kgat trying to make his way through as quickly as possible and getting that move done very, very easily on Alex there. As Damon comes into the pits, retires from the session. Not going to see the checkered flag, and honestly I do not like that, because there's points all the way down to last place. If you crash out and it's just an incident, then obviously, depending on whether it's an incident for your own mistake or an incident involving another driver, then that's fair enough. But just giving up and coming into the pits, I don't like that. But here comes Danny, going to be able to get this move done on Alex, and up into P11 goes Danny, and now has that little bit of a buffer in between himself and Light in behind, because Light needs to get through on Alex here, and he's going to get held up slightly. A little bit of tapping on the rear. Wild is dropping away from Fox Blue. That's something else to keep an eye on. Lap 24 or 26. Remember, G. Russell does have a 3-second time penalty, so G. Russell will drop off the podium as it currently stands, and it'll be a double ORT Esports podium if things remain as they are. But Wild gonna lose out massively due to the lack of DRS and ghosting situation going on there between Light and Alex, and Light is through and up into P12, and there we go, Alex leaving the session again for a second time in this race. And Danny obviously going to be very upset that that happened, because obviously Danny had to make that overtake stick on Alex, and Light was able to just go through. But Light now still within DRS range of Danny, and going to try and close up back up towards the midfield, inside the top 10. We got Casanova closing right up to the back of Cass here for P6. No overtakes being made thus far. And Wild losing out massively here, because Wild is now 2.5 seconds off the back of Fox Blue, which is over 3 seconds off of G. Russell. So G. Russell right now is on course to get a podium here. So there we go, we're on the penultimate lap of the race. G. Russell leads ahead of Dominic in second place, Fox Blue in P3. Obviously G. Russell does have a 3-second time penalty, will drop behind these two, but has a gap now to maintain a podium position on Wild, who is currently in P4. Wild has a sizable gap to Gary in P5, who's going to be under pressure from Casanova and Kuhlman for P5, P6, P7 and P8. As Cass closes up, but again not going for the overtake there. 19 laps they have done on these tyres, and look at that, Kgat getting through. Up into P9 goes the CPI man. Made the 2-stop in this race, and honestly it hasn't worked out for the CPI man. He's not going to be where he probably should be on pace, and same with Danny and Light in the same respect. Obviously not going to be where they should have been on pace, but it's unfortunate, but it is what it is, as Domelt gets through on G. Russell. Up into the race lead goes Domelt on track, and this could be a crucial overtake for Domelt, because obviously as we come onto the final lap now, the LRN man is definitely in prime position to win this race. Fox Blue needs to use ERS and DRS to get through on G. Russell. G. Russell does not have the ERS to really fight. Dom only on 20% ERS as well, and he will need to use it to defend from G. Russell here, and we're going to see if Fox Blue has enough for a run on G. Russell, and it doesn't look like it is going to be enough for a run, so everyone lines astern. Cass all over the back of Gary. Kuhlman has left the session. Kuhlman has lagged out the session, and he is out of running for P5, but Cass is through. Up into P5 goes the LRN man, and Wildstorm picks himself up a 3-second time penalty. We're on the final lap of this race. We're gonna revert back to the front here, because right now Fox Blue all over the back of G Russell here. The gap between them and X Wild in behind is absolutely flown open as Gary's tyres have fallen off an absolute cliff. He's been overtaken left, right and centre. Here comes Fox Blue. He's going to make the overtake on track as he's going to go around the outside into Stowe. G Russell defends the inside line. And yeah, G Russell holds on, but will Fox Blue have a look down the inside? No, he's going to settle down and obviously take that position through the penalties. K-Gat managed to get up into P8 after Coolman unfortunately lagged out from the session, but it is Domelt who takes the victory ahead of Fox Blue in second place. G Russell comes through to take that final podium position. Wild into P4. Cass comes through for P5. Casanova in P6. Gary, good result for him in P7. P8 goes to K-Gat, and of course Coolman in P9. Danny Connor rounding out the top 10. CPI Light in P11. Skip crosses the line in P12, and I believe he'll maintain that. But the question is, is that a puncher? Yeah, it is a puncher. Puncher at the end for Nizeski. Loses the position to Wildstorm, and obviously he does cross the line ahead of Stern there, but there we go. That's how close the punchers were at the end. As what's called, we got Alex coming through, obviously what's called, making that pit stop on the AI, I believe, and of course that meant that Nick finished ahead. But we'll run through the order again. CPI Light obviously not happy with the race. He's immediately left the session, and of course the two-stop, not the strategy to be on. But that man, Domelt, on the top step of the podium, thoroughly deserved in my opinion. Just timed the overtake to perfection at the end, and obviously was just on the superior strategy all in all. G Russell, fantastic effort from him. Just a 3-second time penalty let him down at the end. Of course, he did pick up P3 in this race, and of course we have the ex-esports driver of Fox Blue, who does take up that final, that P2 in the race. But we'll run you through the order one more time. In fact, G Russell had a 6-second time penalty, so that could have been very risky with Wild. But we'll run through the order one more time. There's Domelt who takes victory ahead of Fox Blue in second place. G Russell in third with X Wild in fourth. Cass in P5 with Casanova in P6. QVR Gary in P7 with K-Gat in P8. P9 goes to Coolman, and P10 with the fastest lap goes to Danny Connor in the AlphaTauri. Outside the top 10 we have CPI Light in 11th, Skip in 12th, Wildstorm in 13th, Nozeski in 14th with that late puncher at the end. 15th goes to Nick Fenman, and of course 16th goes to Stern. Alex obviously lagged out the session several times, not sure if he got back in, but he is classified in 17th. Then of course our two non-finishers were of course Damon, who retired in the pit lane, and Angel, who had that incident coming through, I believe it was Club, early on in the race, which triggered the safety car, and that of course changed the strategy for several of these guys. Of course, everyone going for the two-stop, pitting under the safety car, of course, not wanting to risk losing out later in the race and needing to make that pit stop later. But yeah, the two-stop did not work for those guys here tonight. But massive congratulations to Domelt and LRN for the race win here tonight. And of course, massive congratulations to the podium finishers as well of Foxy Blue and of course G Russell there. So X Esports, QVR and LRN, they're on the podium. And of course X Wild getting a P2 and P4. Big result for them in terms of the team standings. We will see what happens with Stewards and Crywheats, but of course that does bring an end to the action here for round number 3 at Silverstone. Next week we will be going racing once again. And where will we be going to? Actually, it's not next week, sorry. We got a break next week. We will be back on the 22nd of September for round number 4, where we will be heading to the Dutch Grand Prix as we take in the Zandvoort circuit. So I have been Mike. and we'll catch you in a fortnight time as we go racing for round number 4 at the Netherlands. But until then, guys, good night and have a good one.